do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
We have football tonight. If you would like to watch Fernando Mendoza, Heisman winner, Indiana guy as well, plays tonight at 8 o'clock against the Colts division rival on ESPN, so you can actually watch the game. I know I'm going to be tuned into it. I'm very intrigued to see how Fernando Mendoza looks in his second preseason game. Colts have their preseason game on Saturday against the Atlanta Falcons. They have their second joint practice against the Falcons today, had their first one yesterday. And Keenan Allen did not participate in practice yesterday, but I was thinking about his addition to the Indianapolis Colts. And fit is almost everything in sports. Are you in a scheme that fits you as a player? Are you in a place that fits you culturally as a coach? Or do you have to fake a Southern accent to feel like you fit in Louisiana, even though you're not from there? Are you in a locker room that your personality fits well in as a player? The importance of being in the right fit is everywhere in sports. And I think Keenan Allen is a perfect fit for the Indianapolis Colts. Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM if you're driving through the Indianapolis area. So yesterday after practice, Daniel Jones did some media, talked a little bit about the practice, but he was also asked many, many questions about Keenan Allen. Here is Colts starting quarterback Daniel Jones on what Keenan Allen brings to the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, he's a bigger body guy and can create separation. I think, I think on third down, he's been huge. I think you look at the past few years and, just another guy who knows how to get open and create space. I think that's helpful to have. Definitely will be an important asset for him.
Daniel Jones right there talking about the addition of Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen has drawn a lot of comparisons to Michael Pittman Jr. Some of them make sense because he's replacing Michael Pittman Jr. A lot of people are going to look at them, compare them, look at the numbers, all of those things, right? The biggest difference, though, between Keenan Allen and Michael Pittman is that Keenan Allen's just a better football player. He's better against man. He's better against zone. The way he gets open feels like a more consistent thing as well. Michael Pittman would beat guys with his strength. Michael Pittman was a tough football player. He did a great job playing through contact. He played through injury a lot. He also had a really nice feel for finding the holes in his own defense. Okay. Oh, man. You were geared up for that one. You were ready to go.
I knew it was coming. I was like, I feel he put something in here. And yeah. Good job.
I put something in where? Oh, man. All right. We can stop being 12 for a second here. Keenan Allen, the way that he just, compared to Keenan Allen, he just gets open in a different way. With Michael Pittman, I wouldn't call him a route running technician. And that's what the best receivers in football are. Like, sure, Justin Jefferson is strong and fast and quick. And yes, Jamar Chase is strong and fast and quick. Same thing for Jackson Smith and Jigba and Puka Nacua. But all those guys are also technically sound when it comes to running routes. Now, that just wasn't Michael Pittman. It's why so many of the routes that he ran were drags and curls and other routes less than 7 yards down the field. Keenan Allen can do so much more because he's just a better route runner. He might not play through contact as well as Michael Pittman does, but you don't have to play through contact when you create space to catch the football. I think that there's this assumption that Keenan Allen is going to come in and just run all the routes that Michael Pittman ran. And I'm sure he'll do some of that. I'm sure he'll run drags occasionally. I'm sure they'll have him sit down on like a little 7-yard hitch from time to time. But between him and Alec Pierce, between Keenan Allen and Alec Pierce, Keenan Allen's the better route runner. So what I think that they're going to do in terms of their roles is Alec Pierce is going to be asked to win over the top like he did last year. He'll also be asked to run those, short curl routes and drags. I think they're going to ask him to take a lot of the Michael Pittman routes because those are just easier routes to run. I could walk out onto an NFL field and run a drag route. What would happen after I ran the route probably wouldn't end very well, but I could, run 2 yards down the field and then break it off and run flat across the field. Not hard to do. You could get out there and run a slant route. Can you take 3 steps forward and then cut hard and diagonally? You can probably do that. Chris, could you do that right now? Could you take 3 hard steps and then cut?
Sure. I'll do my best. It won't look pretty, but I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so like those are the routes that Michael Pittman was being asked to run last year. And quite frankly, to ask Keenan Allen to run those routes would simply be a waste because he can do so much more for you. So I think they're going to ask Alec Pierce to run a lot of those routes. And then we'll see Keenan Allen do all sorts of things. We're going to see him run digs. He's going to run comebacks. He's going to run out routes and so much more. The Colts, outside of Josh Downs last year, didn't have any receivers that you could trust to run an expanded route tree. Like Tyler Warren's not some crisp route runner. Alec Pierce, they really just asked him to win over the top. Michael Pittman, there was a lot of underneath stuff. Josh Downs was the only guy last year who could run an expanded route tree. Now, you have that with Keenan Allen. And I think that's something that all coaches want, regardless of the sport, is flexibility. Keenan Allen offers you flexibility because he can do so many different things as a route runner. The only thing he really can't do is win over the top with speed. He's never really been able to do that. But that's okay because they have Alec Pierce. So I am fascinated to see how Shane Steichen uses Keenan Allen this year. I think Keenan Allen fits in well with his skill sets, and he offers the Colts more options on how they want to attack a defense. Off the field, I don't think he's going to have a problem fitting in because this is just as important as being a fit on the field. The Colts have a generally older team, and it's filled with guys who haven't won much of anything. Keenan Allen's 34 years old. He's been around. He understands what the deal is. He's going to come in. He's going to do his best to not ruffle any feathers. Here he is talking about what he can bring to this Indianapolis Colts team.
Doing what I do. Making plays, moving the chains, being there for the quarterbacks, being a veteran, somebody that can ask questions, look forward to, and just kind of show.
Keenan Allen right there, spitting sunflower seeds the whole time.
I know he had a mouthful of sunflower seeds and trying to do a press conference deal there.
Yeah, requests for the very kind Indianapolis Colts PR team. Can we maybe have him spit out the seeds next time beforehand? I don't know. Just a thought there. Anyway, Keenan Allen talking about what he can bring in, what he can bring to this Colts team. Being a veteran is one of the things that he said. That is such an underrated thing. When you bring new people in, they have to fit with the people that are already there. And older players usually seem to have a better understanding of how to do that. Okay, he also wants to win. Keenan Allen's a guy who's only played in 6 career playoff games. That's it. He wants to get back there. He wants to have some success. I think he's 2-4 in those 6 playoff games. I think he fits perfectly with this Colts team, and I can't wait to see how it comes together on the field. He is going to practice today. He didn't get to practice yesterday, got in super late the night before, so they gave him the day off. But he's going to be out there today, and I'm fascinated to see how he looks today during the joint practice. I'm sure it'll be a little rusty. New quarterback. Yes, he knows the system, but still, I'm sure there are things that he probably doesn't fully remember. I'm sure Coach Steichen has tweaked things since the last time Keenan Allen was playing for him. So there will be some things for him to work through. But I do think this is as well of a fit as the Indianapolis Colts could have found. Chris, how do you think Keenan Allen looks today during practice?
I haven't seen him practice today. Or how?
How do you think he's going to?
How do I think he's going to look? I think he's going to look like Keenan Allen. I don't think he's going to go out there and, just kind of blow the doors off the hinges or anything like that. I think he's going to look like a veteran, and I don't know how rusty he will be. But how rusty he will be, because he did play for the Chargers last year.
True.
His last game in the AFC wild card against the Patriots, 3 receptions for 25 yards earlier this year. Obviously, we're going to see more production out of him, but I think nothing crazy is going to happen today. We'll just be seeing a veteran come back on the field and get loose, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably right. Well, like you said, he's going to look like himself. He'll make plays on third down. He'll, move the chains, do all the things that we're pretty accustomed to Keenan Allen doing. And yesterday, as I was listening to Keenan Allen and his press conference, I really like him, because I think Keenan Allen knows exactly who he is. Self-awareness is an important trait to have. I talk about it a lot on the show. You have to know who you are. And one of the things that jumped out in Keenan Allen's media availability yesterday was that he clearly knows exactly who he is. He called himself, quote, a safety blanket for the quarterback. He talked about moving the chains. He called himself slow. People who self-deprecate usually are pretty comfortable with who they are. Keenan Allen knows exactly who he is, and he knows exactly what he does well. And it helps when you've been in the league for over a decade to know who you are. But it's amazing how many guys show up on a new team and they don't know who they are. And then that leads to them stepping on toes, or they end up getting their feelings hurt because they don't get what they think that they deserve, when in reality, they don't deserve anything at all. That's not going to be a problem with Keenan Allen. He knows he's going to be a reliable third down option. He knows exactly how the Colts are going to use him. And that comes from his relationship in part with Coach Steichen. He's known him since his rookie year, and relationships are everything. And it's much easier to buy into a role when you know and respect the guy who is deciding what your role is. And Keenan Allen very clearly has respect for Coach Steichen. He wouldn't have come to Indianapolis if he didn't. He also wouldn't have said this. Here's Keenan Allen on Coach Steichen.
Genius, man. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's looking at. He doesn't have a coach mindset, so to speak. He sees it from a player perspective, from a quarterback perspective, and, obviously being with Phillip, having those repetitions too.
Keenan Allen right there talking about Coach Steichen. Called him a genius. Maybe you agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that.
I call you a genius.
You do. That's true.
So, he probably has a lot of respect for him. Keenan Allen doesn't give me the impression that he's just here to make a paycheck. Like, he's here to work.
Absolutely.
And he definitely has the respect for Coach, for sure.
For sure. So he called Coach Steichen a genius. Maybe you agree with that. Maybe you don't. Either way, Keenan Allen thinks that. And that's all that really matters. He's going to be bought into whatever Coach Steichen is selling, and that should hopefully lead to a smooth transition, because I think, if you've ever had a job where you didn't like your boss, or you thought that your boss was dumb, or you thought that your boss didn't know what they were doing, makes it tough to go to work. It's not fun going into an environment like that. And so the fact that Keenan Allen is in a place where he respects the head coach, Shane Steichen, and the plans that he puts together, that should hopefully lead to a smooth transition. Again, Keenan Allen didn't participate in joint practices yesterday, but he will be practicing today, and I can't wait to see how he looks. I'm hoping it's magical. And look, he's going to get some targets today. Doesn't seem like Tyler Warren is going to be out there. Hurt his. Originally, they said groin, and then someone else had a different report saying it was his abductor. Either way, it's minor. Should sideline him for about a week or so, and then he'll be back. So, not overly concerned about that. Coach Steichen, of course, had thoughts on his former wide receiver, Keenan Allen. We will play that audio for you in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The Indianapolis Colts have their second day of joint practices against the Atlanta Falcons today before their second preseason game coming up on Saturday, 1 o'clock. Chris, yesterday I said I had no plans on Saturday. That is no longer true.
Right. We got a game to watch Saturday.
I'll be there.
Oh, you're going?
I'm going. I'm going to be there.
How about that?
There you go.
What are you doing?
Big time.
Are you just hanging out in the press box, being all...
Sitting in the press box, acting all official.
Yeah, there you go.
Acting. I won't actually be official. I'm just, people are going to be like, what are you doing, man? Everyone's going to have their like laptops out, type in notes vigorously. I'm going to be chilling with a pen and a legal pad.
You're just going to be in there geeking, staring at the walls and smiling the whole time.
Being there just like, all right, you guys type up all you want to, man. We do it old school over here. You remember things 10% better if you actually write it down.
That is true.
That it is true.
Absolutely.
You heard it on the radio. It has to make it true. Oh, man. This is the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM.
You're not going to take me with you?
I'm not allowed to do that. You get one pass.
One.
Every time literally every time I tell somebody that I get credentialed for something, which isn't very often, they're immediately like, "Can you take me with you?" I'm like, "That's not how credentials work."
I already know, and I just wanted to ask anyway.
Yeah, no, it's all good. This isn't a wedding invite. I don't get a +1.
+1.
Okay, I wish I did. That'd be really cool, but I don't. Oh man, like I purposefully have not told my older brother yet, because as soon as I tell him, which look, it's one preseason game. Who knows if they'll let me? I don't know if they let the riffraff into actual games.
That's good though, man. I know you're excited.
Yeah, like I haven't told.
Good for your progress.
It will be. I'll get to meet all the legends of the Indianapolis media.
You should ask Dan about some pointers on how to talk to our media friends.
I don't know if Dan would help me out with that. I don't know if he would. Oh man. Anyway, so Coach Steichen obviously has a prior relationship with Keenan Allen from the time that they spent together with the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers. And I think it's safe to say Keenan Allen probably wouldn't be here if he didn't think, or if Shane Steichen didn't think that Keenan Allen could play. Here is Coach Steichen talking about the addition of Keenan Allen and how they plan to use him.
Also excited to add Keenan Allen to our roster, a guy that, I've known for a while, got a lot of respect on how he goes about his business as a professional, and the consistency that he's brought over his entire career. He's going to add, great depth to our room and come in and contribute. So we're excited about that.
Coach Steichen right there talking about Keenan Allen. One of the nice things about Keenan Allen is the flexibility that he provides in the routes that he runs. He can also line up all over the field. He can play inside. He can play outside. That's another luxury that you didn't get with Michael Pittman. When the Colts came to the line of scrimmage last year, it wasn't too hard to guess how they were going to be lined up. Alec Pierce was going to be out wide. Michael Pittman was going to be out wide. Josh Downs was going to be in the slot. And Tyler Warren, I know that they moved him around a little bit, but the vast majority of the time, he was at the end of the line of scrimmage with his hand in the dirt. That is not the case this year, because Keenan Allen is a guy who can line up everywhere. He's a guy who has tremendous feel for the game. So we're going to see Josh Downs line up outside this year. We'll see him line up on the inside. I'm sure we'll see Tyler Warren line up on the outside on occasion. I'm sure that they'll stand him up in the slot as well. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces for this Indianapolis Colts offense when it comes to where their receivers line up this year. And that's a good thing. That is just one more thing that defenses have to think about whenever they run guys out there. Okay. Here is Coach Steichen on Keenan Allen's feel for the game.
The way he plays and the feel he has for the game, he's one of the most, he's probably not one of the most, he's the most cerebral receiver I've ever been around. He sees the game like a quarterback. how to run routes, how to attack leverage, how he sees coverage, especially inside in the slot, outside, how corners play, how linebackers play him in the slot. That's built up reps, over the years. And he's seen so many different looks. And it's like clockwork for him in his brain. And so I think having that at that position as you get older really helps you, in the long run.
Coach Steichen right there talking about just how smart and cerebral Keenan Allen is. To quote him exactly, Shane Steichen said that Keenan Allen is, quote, the most cerebral receiver I've ever been around. Makes sense. Top 5 all time in receptions for his career. You have to be smart if you're going to get open that often. And that is how Coach Steichen described the newest Colts receiver, Keenan Allen. And that's just such a nice player to have for a quarterback. Just having someone who understands what they're looking at and knows how to respond to whatever it is that they're looking at, whether they come up to the line of scrimmage and they see that the defense is in cover 3 or they're in man or they're going to blitz here or whatever it is. Having someone who just understands that is a huge advantage. And I don't think that the Keenan Allen and Daniel Jones connection should take all that long to really develop just because they're both smart football players. Again, I think this was a great pickup for the Colts, and they should score a lot of points this year. I think we're going to see Keenan Allen turning third downs into first downs quite often this year just because of the feel and understanding that he has. It's kind of like, if you're a basketball fan and you play pickup on occasion, if you play with a guy who just who knows how to cut and move without the ball, it just makes everything easier. Like, they free up space, they get easy buckets off of their ability to cut to the rim and those kind of things. And that's what Keenan Allen is going to do for this offense. And he's in, I think, a pretty great spot to do it because he's the he's the third best receiver, fourth best pass catcher on this team. When teams play against the Colts and they order pass catchers we need to circle, at the top of the list is going to be Tyler Warren, and then it'll be Alec Pierce, and then it'll probably be Josh Downs because those 3 guys are going to play more often than Keenan Allen is going to. Shane Steichen saying yesterday that Keenan Allen's not going to be on the field for 70 snaps a game. It'll probably be closer to 50. And because of that, he's going to be kind of the forgotten guy. And I kind of like that for Keenan Allen as a guy who's just smart and understands how to play ball. Again, great pickup for the Indianapolis Colts. They should score a lot of points this year, especially since Daniel Jones just continues to light it up. We keep hearing about how the Colts are having all of this success throwing the football during training camp. And we heard that again yesterday. And Daniel Jones continues to find success without Alec Pierce. So yesterday they're playing against this Atlanta Falcons defense that was pretty solid last year, second in the NFL in sacks. I like their corners. They took Avion Terrell in the second round out of Clemson, so he's a rookie. But they have A.J. Terrell, his brother, also at corner, who is a legitimately good player. Jesse Bates is he's an older safety, but he's still a good safety. Xavier Watts, another good safety. So the Falcons have a nice secondary. And again, this was a pass rush that was second in the NFL in total sacks last season. And the football did not touch the ground yesterday for Daniel Jones. One person said he was 14 of 14. Someone else said he was 15 of 15. Either way, one way or the other, 14 of 14, 15 of 15, who cares? That's impressive. That's another great day from Daniel Jones without his best receiver, Alec Pierce, without a true third receiver in Keenan Allen. He's going 15 of 15 against what should be a pretty solid defense this year in Atlanta, with Nick Westbrook-Akina, Ashton Doolin, and Josh Downs being his top 3 receivers. That's impressive. That is the stuff for me that moves the needle towards, okay, Daniel Jones might continue to be real. He might pick up from where he left off last year before he got hurt. And that's what the Colts need from him. We went through it yesterday. The Colts are going to make the playoffs. It is going to be because of this offense. It's going to be because this is one of the 10 best offenses in football. This was an offense that averaged 27 points per game last year. I don't know if we'll see that again this year. Tougher schedule, those kinds of things. But Daniel Jones continues to play this well when the real games roll around. And things are going to change a little bit, right? Because Daniel Jones will actually be allowed to get hit. Does he get jumpy? That's still why I am a little hesitant to just fully be like, yeah, he's going to be great. He's still in the red, don't touch me jersey. And, when you can't get hit, it removes some of the fear. We saw that from Riley Leonard in the Colts' first preseason game. All of a sudden, he was allowed to get hit. And, feet got a little happy. It's okay, though. It happens. And so it's looking like it's going to be a really nice year for this Indianapolis Colts offense. The more we hear about Daniel Jones and how he's looked in these joint practices without Alec Pierce. Shane Steichen mentioned that we may see some of the starters in the third preseason game. I really hope not. Again, leave Daniel Jones wrapped in bubble wrap until that week 1 game against Baltimore. We don't need Quentin Nelson getting rolled up on in a meaningless game. You already had Tyler Warren get hurt yesterday. He's only going to be out for about a week, so thankfully he's going to be fine. But let's just keep them all off the field. Let's keep rolling with these joint practices. That is more than enough work for the starters. What's up, Chris?
Yeah, don't break the seal yet. I was just going to agree with you because since I don't know if you've noticed, but Shane Steichen's body temperature or the way he presents himself since this Keenan Allen thing is signed, he seems a little bit more calm. He's like us on a Friday on payday, right? Like we're going to own the world. We're going to go buy everything. That's where Shane Steichen's at right now. He just got a payday. He's feeling a little less pressure because they got a good player. And, he might be like, yeah, I'm going to put him out there, the third preseason game. He's feeling a little confident and like, hey, man, slow down. Pump the brakes a little bit.
He should be excited. Like
as he should, yeah.
This offense is loaded now. Like this should be I'm trying to think on paper who has better offenses in terms of personnel than the Colts do. I would argue that the Ravens do. Between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, they bring in Elijah Surratt in the draft, a guy who I think can play. They've got another receiver too that's playing pretty well right now. Yeah, Jacoby Lane out of Baltimore is a pretty good player too. So I would say they do. I would argue that the Bills do. Josh Allen, James Cook, and DJ Moore. The Broncos do. They're pretty loaded. Cortland Sutton, Jalen Waddle, Bo Nix, a couple of different running backs as well. In terms of straight up personnel, though, that might be it. You could argue the Bengals. I would argue that the Bengals don't have a good enough offensive line. Let's see here. NFC, Philly lost A.J. Brown, so I don't think I would nominate them. Chicago probably does.
Yeah, going back to Philly, they have not looked good in the warm-ups or the training camp.
Did you see the video of the point of view cam from Jalen Hurts
when he threw that pick?
No, when he threw a touchdown pass.
Oh no, he threw a pick today, and it's like no pressure at all. Just kind of threw it up there.
It happens. Like there is a video though of his point of view, and it's like, how do these guys ever complete a pass? It was insane. Like he throws the ball, and it's like I don't even know who he's throwing it to, and then you see it get caught, and you're like, oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I missed that one. But the one today, the random pick with no applied pressure. Yeah, I don't know how good Philly's going to look this year, but that's besides the point. Please continue.
Yeah. I think other offenses, personnel wise, that push the Colts line, Gibbs, the Rams do Stafford, Puka, Devontae Adams, Kyron Williams, and I think really it. Maybe San Francisco if they don't want to get hurt. So in terms of just personnel and what the roster looks like, you're hard pressed to find a team as talented as this Indianapolis Colts roster. And again, that should point to them scoring a lot of points because they have a smart offensive coach in Shane Steichen who does a great job of calling plays as well. So we'll see. Going to be a really fun season for the Indianapolis Colts. Hopefully they can put up a ton of points and hopefully they can find a way to get stops because that continues to be the growing question for them. The Colts did struggle to run the football yesterday. Coach Steichen had some thoughts on that. We'll give you that audio in 3 minutes.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Joe to the Sea saying, Jonathan, welcome to the Daniel Jones fan club. I feels like a bridge too far. It feels like a bridge too far. Is that fair, Chris? I wouldn't say I'm a part of the Daniel Jones fan club.
Why wouldn't you be a part of the fan club? I mean,
I've been pretty tough on Daniel Jones throughout the whole offseason.
Yeah, everybody has, though.
No, no one's been tougher on Daniel Jones than I have, I would argue.
Well, maybe it's required once you go into the media staff location on Saturday. You have to show your Daniel Jones.
Yeah, you have to be like, where's your Daniel Jones fan club ID card?
Yeah.
It's the only way we will allow you into the press box. No, I'm just look. We keep hearing really good things about him. Again, my question is still going to be the same, or my points are still the same on. Of the 12 games that he started and finished last year, he struggled in 4 of them. If you went to a restaurant 12 times and had a bad experience 4 out of 12 times, you wouldn't be like, this is a good restaurant.
Unless you really like the food.
You wouldn't say that. I mean, yeah, but I mean, when you have a bad experience, sometimes that's the food sucking. You know?
That's true, too.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. I'm a big let's wait and see kind of fella. And with Daniel Jones, I would like to wait a little bit longer. I'd like to wait a little bit longer. The dude only tore his Achilles last year, for crying out loud. All right, but the one thing that will make Daniel Jones's life easier is the fact that the Indianapolis Colts are going to be able to run the football. Maybe. The Colts struggled to run the football yesterday during their joint practice against the Falcons. Here is Coach Steichen after practice on the struggles that they had running the football.
I think really that first period, we just got to get some stuff cleaned up in that first period. We'll go back and get that cleaned up and, come out here tomorrow and have a great practice.
Coach Steichen right there. I don't care that they struggled to run the football. If I had to bet on anything this year for the Indianapolis Colts, it would be that they found a way to run the football. They are too talented on the offensive line, and they have Jonathan Taylor. They're going to run the football well this year. I have no worries whatsoever because they struggled to run the ball against Atlanta. Can we remember that Jonathan Taylor gassed them for 244 yards last year when they played Atlanta? I'm sure that there was a part of Atlanta that showed up here and was like, you know what we're not going to let the Colts do? Run the football in this practice. You got to get a little bit of get back from time to time. Hearing that the Colts struggled to run the football is like, so Chris, you know how there was the parasite that was going around?
Yeah, the lettuce. And
yeah,
sure.
And there were like rumors that it came from the lettuce at Taco Bell.
Right.
This is how I view the Colts not being able to run the football yesterday. I don't care at the same level as like if they had said that the parasite was coming from Chick-fil-A chicken. I'd be like, I don't care. I'm going to Chick-fil-A anyway. Like I'm not really worried about it because it's Chick-fil-A. That's how I feel about the Colts. Like the one thing that they have done consistently ever since Shane Steichen got here, really ever since Jonathan Taylor got here 7 years ago, is they've been good at running the football. One bad practice, I don't think erases all of that. I still think this is going to be a Colts offense predicated on running the ball. Any concerns from you on their struggles to run it against Atlanta?
No, not yet. Simply put, just kind of like what you said, it's too early. It matters right now, but it's not making a difference right now. It's going to change by the time it matters. So no, it's okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, look, in order for me to be concerned about the Colts run game, Jonathan Taylor would have to get hurt. Until that happens, they're going to find a way.
I would agree with that.
And so, I'm not worried about it at all. This is also the first time we've heard about it, and training camp and things have been ongoing for a while now, so they're going to be fine going forward. Another thing that we heard yesterday out of camp: Arden Key and Leatu Latu both had multiple sacks. I don't know how many that is. I just know that it's more than one. That is exactly what we needed to hear. Okay, those two guys have a lot more to prove this year. Okay, the Indianapolis Colts are putting a lot of faith in Arden Key, and everyone expects for Leatu Latu to develop. We're going to have Zach Pereles on later today. He wrote an article at CBSSports.com talking about how, or kind of laying out a player on every NFL team that has something to prove. He wrote down Daniel Jones. I'm going to question him on that because I disagree. I think it's Arden Key and Leatu Latu because the Colts are giving Arden Key an opportunity to do something in his career that he's never done, and that's be a week in, week out starter. He's never been that before. Okay, the Colts are giving Leatu Latu an opportunity to develop into a 12-sack guy. Those are two guys that are going to have so much to do with the Colts and their success this year. If those guys can generate pressure, if they can be not even elite pass rushers, can they just be good pass rushers? Because if they are, they'll put up elite numbers because of this secondary that had another really nice day yesterday. Justin Wally had a pick 6 to end practice. He also had an interception earlier in practice. I can't wait to watch that guy play ball. Every time we hear about Justin Wally, it is nothing but really good things. It is nothing but, he had an interception. He broke up another pass. He did this. It's great. Whenever Lou Anarumo talks about him, he talks about the instincts and just how quickly he's picked up on everything, whether that's this year or going back to last year. Justin Wally's going to be a stud. Can't wait to watch how he looks this season. As a whole, it appears that the Falcons' offense looked horrific against the Colts' defense. That is a great sign because the Atlanta Falcons don't have a great quarterback. Tua struggled, and that's what should happen with the secondary that the Indianapolis Colts have. When Charvarius Ward and Sauce Gardner and Justin Wally are all healthy, and you have DeForest Buckner and Leatu Latu on your defensive line, defenses or offenses like Atlanta with Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback should struggle. They should turn the football over. And the defense should have a great day. One of the other nice things that was nice to hear that I was semi-concerned about was the Atlanta Falcons have quite the combination of running backs between Bijan Robinson and Brian Robinson. That's not confusing at all. And it doesn't seem like they had some huge day on the ground against this Colts defense either. So all of the things that we wanted to hear out of the Colts and Falcons joint practice yesterday, we heard about. Chris, what do you make of just hearing that Arden Key and Leatu Latu both had nice days yesterday?
It's inspiring because we didn't have high hopes for Arden Key, right? Like we were hoping that he is a solid spare tire, I think, as you referred to him as yesterday. But I hope that he continues to improve, Arden Key specifically, because that's going to only help Latu improve and be better as well. I don't think it's a long-term fix for Arden Key. I think we should still fill that hole.
Yeah.
But he should be able to hold his own in the meantime, too.
That is one of the things that I would like to learn more about. Whenever you hear offensive linemen talk about playing offensive line, like what they individually do is equally as important as what the other four guys do, right? 5 guys blocking is one, all that stuff that you hear guys say. I would like to know if pass rushing is the same thing or not, because if I'm an edge rusher and you're a defensive tackle and I try to spin inside and you try to perform your pass rush move the same direction that I am, Like, aren't we going to run into one another? Isn't that kind of a problem?
Yeah, we'd get in each other's way for sure.
And so I would love to be able to ask them about that. Like, four guys rushing together. How does what one guy does impact what DeForest Buckner does? Or does Buckner walk into the huddle and say, hey, guys, I'm doing this move. I'm DeForest Buckner. Don't get in my way.
Yeah,
that would probably be fair.
I'm sure it's got to be it's almost like a choreographed dance, right? Like, don't step on my toes. Don't accidentally fall on my ankle and injure me for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or anything crazy like that. They have to know where, their position, the same way that person has to know their position, I would think.
Absolutely. So it's an interesting thing. I'm fascinated by it. Chris, which excites you more? Daniel Jones not having an incompletion yesterday, or hearing that this Colts defense absolutely dominated the Falcons offense?
What excites me more?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on both levels of what you just said is what should happen anyway. Like you would expect. But I think I'd probably be happier about Daniel Jones completing 14 of 14. Although that's his job, that's what he's supposed to do. Like, it sounds good that his progress and coming back from this Achilles, that's where he's at. That is good. As far as the Falcons go, considered a source. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to run over them and not allow the Robinsons in the backfield to run 300 or 400 yards up on you in any game or practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's the Daniel Jones thing, just because 14 of 14 or 15 of 15, whatever it is, against a live defense is kind of crazy. Like, guys don't normally do that. So I might be becoming a believer, Chris.
But you said he's still in the red "Don't Touch Me" jersey, right?
He is still in the red "Don't Touch Me" jersey.
He's good. True. He's excellent for where he's at right now.
He is. Which, I mean, again, man, look, 14 of 14, whatever, no matter what jersey you're in, is like, guys don't do that, even in joint practices, and they definitely don't do it without their best receiver being out there. So we'll see.
Good point.
Again, slowly becoming a believer. Maybe we'll see. Tyler Warren. This was in the news yesterday. He did get hurt, but the injury is minor, not a big deal. He's going to be ready for the season, which I was thinking about it yesterday. Never mind. The answer's obvious. It's like, who is the one guy on this Colts offense who can't get hurt outside of Daniel Jones? It's Jonathan Taylor. After that, though, I would argue it's probably Tyler Warren. He's their best pass catcher. He was on the field. He played more snaps for the Colts offense last year than anybody else did. He impacts the run game with his blocking. Great in terms of his ability to catch passes. So him being out for a week, it'll be interesting to see how the Colts kind of tweak the offense and what Daniel Jones's options look like. Obviously, bringing in Keenan Allen makes that easier. Maybe it's just more opportunities for Will Mallory to earn a spot, which he absolutely should. Can't wait to watch him ball out again on Saturday. But anyway, Tyler Warren hurt, pretty minor, but he will be ready for the season. Alec Pierce was working out yesterday. He should also be back soon. Here is Coach Steichen talking about whether or not the Keenan Allen signing had anything to do with Alec Pierce potentially missing time.
No, that's completely independent. Alec's in a great spot right now. He's doing really good. I watched him work out yesterday in the indoor. He's moving around really good. So hopefully we'll have him back sooner than later.
Sooner than later. That is the hope. Alec Pierce.
That is the hope.
He's working out. He looks really good. They're not going to rush him back. There's no need. So he's going to be back before week 1. And, the Colts are hopefully going to hang 40 on Baltimore. That would be awesome. Zach Pereles joining the show at 2:00. Maybe Eddie White at 1:20. I'll text him again here, see if he's free or not. And, because the Fever do play the Wings tonight. So Chris and I will talk, Fever, Wings, over 1.5 instances like we normally do, coming up at 1:00. But
incidents.
First, huh?
Is it incidents?
Incidents. I'm sorry. You're right.
But
Incidents.
That's what we'll call them from now on.
Over 1.5 incidents. There we go. I know words. We'll do that at 1 o'clock. But first, Chris has yours. Sports update.
That's okay. I'm not good at words sometimes either. Don't feel bad. Here's what's trending this hour. The Colts wrapping up their final day of training camp with a primetime joint practice with the Falcons, of course, in Westfield. It was thought that Keenan Allen might suit up to practice yesterday, but sat out of initial joint practice yesterday. He will take part in individual drills today, though. So head coach Shane Steichen clarified that Allen's workload management completely independent of Alec Pierce's ankle rehab. So we'll see what happens there. Indiana Fever take their 5-game winning streak to Dallas tonight for a game with the Wings. Tip-off scheduled for 8. It'll stream nationally on Amazon Prime, locally on WTHR Channel 13. Kelsey Mitchell is expected to play after sitting out the fourth quarter in Toronto due to overheating and looks to extend her historic 20-point scoring streak. That's a mouthful right there. Pacers Sports and Entertainment announced a landmark 5-year partnership with DAZN, D-A-Z-N, pronounced DAZN. They'll now be the exclusive streaming home for the Pacers, moving on from FanDuel Sports Network. DAZN will broadcast 22 regular season games and 4 preseason games completely free on its app. So look for it, DAZN. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show in 4 minutes on ND Sports Ticket 1430.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 2 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. Oh, man. Okay, Chris, I know we said that we were going to do a little bit there on the fever. I changed my mind. So ESPN put out this article not that long ago monitoring 16 different situations at quarterback for the upcoming season, one of them being the Indianapolis Colts. What do you think's more likely? The Colts don't bring Daniel Jones back at the end of this contract, which expires at the end of next season, or they make and win a playoff game this year.
What's more likely to happen?
More likely to happen.
Oh, wow. So the first one was them not bringing him back.
They don't bring him back after his contract expires, which they'd make that decision not this offseason, but next.
I would probably say that one's more likely. I mean, making the playoffs, yeah, but winning a playoff game, probably not. I still don't feel good about that, even though like we're doing okay right now, but less likely to bring back Daniel Jones. What do you think?
I think I agree with that. I was accused of being in the Daniel Jones fan club earlier, which, I might purchase a membership. We'll see. The biggest concern about him remains is the guy who's gotten hurt every year of his career. I mean, at some point, you got to just kind of look at things and be like, oh, there's a pattern here. And the pattern is Daniel Jones gets hurt every single season. And I know everyone's excited because he, quote, looks like he never even got hurt, which is great for him. Speaks to how hard he's worked, all of that stuff. But some guys just have a tendency to get hurt. Like this has been the knock against Anthony Richardson as a guy who just can't stay healthy. You should have the exact same knock for Daniel Jones. He's only played 16 games in a season once. That was in 2022. He played, 12 full games last year. Obviously started that game against Jacksonville before he got hurt. Only played 10 games in 2024. Only 6 games in 2023. Only 11 games in 2021. 14 games in 2020. Good for him. And then 12 games started his rookie year. And I just think it's really hard to look 2 years into the future and say, yeah, they're going to bring that guy back when they have an injury history that looks like this. And that is going to be the single most important thing for the Colts this year. Like, if Daniel Jones plays all 17 games, they're probably a playoff team. There's a decent chance that they find a way to go 10-7 with all the improvements that they've made to the offense and the secondary. 10-7 isn't some crazy outcome. I think the crazier outcome is Daniel Jones stays healthy for all 17 games. So that is going to continue to be the biggest question about him and this Colts team going forward.
I'll probably play devil's advocate there. That's also, yeah. And say that both is going to happen or has a potential to happen, right? Let's say that we make the playoffs this year and win a playoff game. We get into next season and he still gets injured but plays the majority of the season. I still don't think they're going to renew a contract.
If they won a playoff game, they would extend him at this next offseason.
You think so?
Yeah. I think they'd pull the trigger pretty quick. And that's just because good quarterbacks are just really hard to find. Like I don't think it's hard to find a quarterback now that you don't mind. Like, the Vikings probably don't mind having Kyler Murray. I don't know if they're jumping up and down about it. I would bet that The Dolphins probably don't mind having Malik Willis. The Jets don't mind having Geno Smith. And if you can find a quarterback that's good enough to win a playoff game, like that's a hard thing to find.
You think if they do extend him, you think they'll just extend him another year? Like if
that's a good question.
How long? But I mean, unless he comes out and pulls like a Sam Darnold, like based on his history, I'm not thinking about an extension.
Well,
but if that happens, give him another contract.
He was doing that last year, though. He was doing
until he got hurt.
That's the problem. That's the problem. He was doing the Sam Darnold thing last year, where it's like, oh wow, new system, new coach. He looks great now.
MVP candidate, all that stuff.
Yeah, eight of the 12 games, and I get it. Everyone likes to talk about the injuries, right? They talk about not even the torn Achilles, but the fractured tibia,
right?
And whenever I bring up those struggles that happened late, that's what people say. He was hurt. He was playing through a fractured tibia. It's like, yeah, that is the legacy of Daniel Jones. He's a guy who just can't really stay healthy. And so it kind of feels like the Colts moved from promising 4th overall pick that can't stay healthy to former New York Giants quarterback that fits well in the system but can't stay healthy.
See, I would say that they're probably not going to renew him either way, because based on how this season unfolds, and if Chris Ballard is still here next season, whoever comes in after him, if somebody else comes in, may not feel the same way and be like, no, we're good. We want a new quarterback. We're going to go a different direction.
We'll see what they do. It's an interesting thing. They find themselves in a very interesting spot because they willingly gave him a 2-year deal after playing well for 12 games. Kind of. 8 of the 12 games. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing because they've got some other quarterbacks on this list. One of them being Houston. Like CJ Stroud's going to be back. He's going to be in Houston for a long time because finding quarterbacks who can win playoff games is a really hard thing to do. And if the Colts win a playoff game this year, then who's to say that they wouldn't have won one last year with the way that they were going before things kind of went haywire? So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. And I think if Daniel Jones stays healthy this year, he'll have another really nice season. Like last year, he was on pace to set a career high in almost everything. QBR, completion percentage, passing yards per game, passing touchdowns. Like he was going to have by far the best year of his career, and then obviously he ends up going down. If he stays healthy, he's going to have an awesome year. It just feels like an incredibly big if, and this goes back to a question that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But how many games can he miss where we feel like the Colts are still a playoff team? Is it one game? Is it 2 games? Is it 4 games? Can he miss a quarter of the season and still find a way, and the Colts still find a way to make the playoffs? I think that question is really only going to be answered at the end of the preseason when we've seen Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard continue to play. So I don't know. It's such an interesting thing, and it's why the Colts should hold on to Richardson, because and Leonard, all of them, because Daniel Jones can't really stay healthy. Neither can Richardson. What are the odds that Riley Leonard walks into the season as the 3rd string quarterback on this Colts roster and still starts like two games this year because Daniel Jones and Richardson both got hurt?
What are the odds?
Yeah.
I don't know. But let me give you a scenario.
Okay.
We get up to like week 15, right? Colts need some help to get into the wild card spot. Jones is questionable. You've got Riley starting, and Richardson on a bench. You don't know if Jones is coming back for the rest of the year. Who would you feel better about starting to try to make a playoff spot, even if you needed some help from other teams to lose and so on? Riley or Richardson at that point of the season, considering Jones may not be available?
The answer is probably Richardson, just because I just think that your path to winning with him is just a little bit wider than it is with Riley Leonard, because I think the most valuable thing, maybe not the most valuable thing, one of the most valuable things in football are cheap touchdowns. And when you have Anthony Richardson, your chances of completing a 50-yard pass for a touchdown are exponentially higher than if you have Riley Leonard out there. And we've seen the Colts win games with Anthony Richardson before, where he was completing 45% of his passes because of this ability to generate these huge plays through either the air or through him running the ball. And so when you can do that, you can make up for going 3 and out 3 times in a row. And so I would prefer him. I just think that your margin for error is a bit wider with him compared to Leonard.
I'm glad you didn't say call Philip Rivers. Thank you for that. But yeah,
that's what you want. You want the Chargers reunion, Steichen, Allen, and Rivers.
Not what I want, but I could definitely see it happening again.
Philip Rivers came out and said that he was done. He said that he would not come back again. Maybe Keenan Allen can get him to change his mind, but it's
still fun to talk about.
It is fun, and I mean that's something it'll live on forever, man. Like we're gonna be old and gray talking about the time Philip Rivers came back to play a few games for the Colts.
Yeah, that definitely trumps Jeff Saturday as interim head coach.
That was crazy too. They were both absurd.
Yeah,
but like the difference being the Philip Rivers thing made sense. And, he came in, he played well. He just lacked the arm strength in a few spots, and if he has a little more zip on the ball, they probably beat Seattle. But I mean, the Jeff Saturday thing, just inexcusable. Just reaching for the good old glory days in those moments. So, Colts playing against the Atlanta Falcons today in a joint practice. Riley Leonard took the majority of the reps yesterday. That will flip today. It'll mainly be Richardson. Didn't hear much about Riley Leonard. I don't know if that's a good sign or not.
Right? If there's nothing being said, is that a bad thing? Like, is it like no news is good news kind of thing? Or is it like
maybe
let's sweep it under the rug and not say anything?
I've been really positive today. Let's keep that going. Daniel Jones was just so amazing yesterday that no one paid attention to Riley Leonard. There you go. That's your answer right there. But today, though, for the Indianapolis Colts, it would be nice to hear that they ran the ball better than what they did yesterday. I have no concerns about that at all. I want to hear that this defense, continues to dominate as they continue to practice against Atlanta. Hopefully, we don't hear about Bijan Robinson rushing for 7 million yards or anything like that. But it should be, hopefully a lot more fun hearing about how well this team played against the Falcons again today as they get ready for their preseason game on Saturday. Daniel Jones spoke to the media yesterday after practice, talked quite a bit about the Keenan Allen addition. I've got that audio for you in 4 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
In 20 minutes, call 317-228-1430 for your chance to win a couple of tickets to Holiday World. It's an excellent place. My wife and I went on Saturday with some friends, had a great time. I don't think it's supposed to be 91 degrees in southern Indiana anytime soon, like it was on Saturday. My wife almost overheated. Wasn't good. It's okay, though. The people at Holiday World took very good care of her. So good stuff there. 317-228-1430 for your chance to win a couple of tickets to Holiday World. We will give those away in about 20 minutes or so. The Indianapolis Colts are currently they're getting ready for a joint practice against the Atlanta Falcons, their second one in as many days, first day being yesterday. And the biggest news for the Colts this week is the signing of Keenan Allen. It was almost Tyler Warren getting hurt, but he's going to be fine, should only miss about a week, which really means 2 weeks, which means he'll be back in time for the regular season. And it looks like the Colts are going to start the season fully healthy, which is nice. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that don't get to say that. They have a guy tear an ACL during training camp or an Achilles, or they break their arm and they're out for 8 weeks, whatever it is. So it looks like this Colts team is going to be healthy, which is the most important thing for them this year. Fit is almost everything in sports. There are certain players that are so gifted and so talented that it doesn't really matter where they are. For example, the Indiana Fever's offense, I think, is very well created for Caitlin Clark. With that being said, Caitlin Clark could play in a slow it down, grind it out offense that isn't anywhere near as fast paced as the Fevers, and she would still be awesome. It doesn't matter, what kind of an offense you put Tom Brady in, dude's going to be a stud. Okay, but for most players, they don't have that level of greatness to them. And so scheme and fit and these things matter. Like, are you a scheme fit as a player wherever you're playing? Are you in a place that you fit culturally as a coach? Are you in a locker room that your personality fits well as a player? Okay, the importance of being the right fit is everywhere in sports. You see it in life too. I think part of why this show goes well is because Chris's and my personalities mesh really, really well together. I've got a good boss whose personality meshes pretty well with mine whenever we talk about important things, which is almost never, but it does happen from time to time. If you've ever been at a place where you just don't fit in, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Okay? Think about when, your wife or girlfriend drags you to some event with her friends that you don't really want to go to. Those events aren't fun because you don't fit in with whatever the group is. I'll never forget, Chris, I don't know if I've told you this story. So my now wife and I, we were dating at the time. We go down to Chattanooga so she can meet my family. And we end up having to come back early because her best friend got engaged. Okay? So we are driving back. We're not even going to either one of our houses. We're going straight to this engagement party where I know nobody. I've never even met these people. They just know that I'm some guy that's dating their friend. Chris, we show up. Didn't know anybody there. None of them liked sports. My wife's ex-boyfriend was there, which made it even weirder.
Wow.
It was, dude, I was so uncomfortable. I just didn't fit in, And so, because I walk over, because, as things happen at these parties, all the women kind of congregate, all the men kind of congregate somewhere else. And I'm like, so, sports? Crickets. got nothing. Okay? Star Wars. Everybody lights up. And I was like, all right, here we go. We can do Star Wars. There's like 4 things. The list is probably longer of things that like every guy has an interest in at least one of them for the most part. Sports, Star Wars, Marvel, Lord of the Rings. One of those 4 things, you're probably good. I think all of my friends fall into one of those 4 categories, I guess.
They should have waited until you guys got back to do the engagement party for one, because they knew you were out of town. They were like, "We're going to do it now." Or it sounds like
I don't want to hold up somebody's engagement. It's fine. We can come back early.
Sounded like
no big deal.
Sounded like a legit Jonathan Smith hell, though.
Dude, it was brutal, man. And everyone's just staring at me. And they're like, "Who is this guy?" You know, like there's people's parents there, and they're like, "You didn't go to Purdue," and I'm like, Yeah, correct. I don't know any of these people.
See, if I were you, I would have done something crazy and gave him a real impression, because there's a good chance you probably wouldn't see him again until what, the wedding?
No,
right? And then you'd be like, oh, there's that
these
guy.
Are like the majority of the people there were dating like people that ended up being in Amelia's like bridal shower or party, whatever it's called. And so, yeah, no, these are people that I needed to, not look like a buffoon around.
Fair enough.
You know?
I got to hang out with your friend group one time, man. It sounds so interesting. Like there's stories.
So when we go line dancing, the people from that side of our friend group are not there. So speaking of which, you got to come out at some point.
Yeah, I'm aware.
At some point.
I'm aware.
Saying.
Yeah.
We are trying to coordinate a day to sing some karaoke though.
There you go.
Just so you know.
Of course.
Anyway, my point of that story being, it's really nice when you fit in. It just makes everything so much easier. And I think that Keenan Allen is a perfect fit for the Indianapolis Colts this season. Let's start with the on the field part of it. Here is Daniel Jones on what Keenan Allen brings to the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, he's a bigger body guy and can create separation. I think, I think on third down, he's been huge. I think you look at the past few years and, just another guy who knows how to get open and create space. I think that's helpful to have. Definitely will be an important asset for.
Daniel Jones right there talking about Keenan Allen and how he fits into this Indianapolis Colts offense. So Keenan Allen has drawn a lot of comparisons to Michael Pittman Jr. That makes sense because he's replacing Michael Pittman Jr. The difference is that he's a better football player. He's better against man coverage. He's better against zone coverage. The way he gets open also just feels like a more consistent thing. Michael Pittman would beat guys with his strength. Michael Pittman was a tough football player. He did a great job playing through contact. He was strong, still is. He also had a really nice feel for finding the holes in a zone defense. Those were the things he was good at. I wouldn't call him a route running technician, though. And that's what the best receivers in football are. Sure, they're strong and they're fast and they're quick, but they're also incredibly technically sound when it comes to running routes. That wasn't Michael Pittman. That's why he ran so many drag routes and curl routes and other routes that were less than 7 yards down the field at a time. Keenan Allen can do so much more simply because he's just a better route runner. He might not play through contact as well as Michael Pittman, but you don't have to play through contact when you create space to catch the football. I think there's this assumption that Keenan Allen is just going to come in and run all the routes that Michael Pittman Jr. ran. And I'm sure he'll do some of that. But between him and Alec Pierce, Keenan Allen's the better route runner. What I think we're going to see the Indianapolis Colts do in terms of roles and what routes guys are going to run is they're going to ask Alec Pierce to do what he did last year, win over the top, make contested catches, be the play action bomb threat. Okay. And then they will also ask Alec Pierce to run those like short little digs and hitch routes and the comeback and those little like short curl routes and drags and those kind of things. A lot of the Michael Pittman route tree that we saw him run last year. And then we're going to see Keenan Allen do all sorts of things. He's going to run digs. He's going to run comeback routes. He's going to run out routes. There's just so much more that he can do because of his route running ability. And the Indianapolis Colts, outside of Josh Downs last year, didn't have any receivers that you trusted to run an expanded route tree. It was Josh Downs. That was really it. You know, Alec Pierce could run deep. He could run a post. He could run a go. He did a nice job running some like deep over routes. But that was really it for him. And this year, though, it's Keenan Allen who can do so much more for you. And I think something that all coaches want is flexibility, no matter what the sport is. You know, like if you watch basketball, we've seen this movement towards everybody on the floor being able to handle the basketball. Why is that important? It gives you flexibility and who initiates and starts your offense. That's a valuable thing to have. Keenan Allen offers you flexibility because he can do so many different things as a route runner. The only thing he really can't do is win over the top with speed, which is fine. He doesn't have to be able to do that because they have Alec Pierce. So I am fascinated to see how Shane Steichen decides to use Keenan Allen this year. I think he fits in really well with his skill set, and he offers the Colts more options with how they want to attack a defense. Off the field, he will have no problem whatsoever fitting in. The Colts have an older team. It is filled with guys who have never really won much of anything. And Keenan Allen's a player he's been around. He understands what the deal is. He's going to come in. He's not going to ruffle any feathers. He's not going to take the number 13 from Laquan Treadwell. He's going to come in and just kind of do what he's asked and not get in the way of anything. Here he is talking about what he can bring to this Indianapolis Colts team.
Doing what I do. Making plays, moving the chains, being there for the quarterbacks, being a veteran, somebody that can ask questions, look forward to, and just kind of show.
Being a veteran, that is such an underrated thing. When you bring new people in, they have to fit with the people that you already have there. Older players normally seem to have a better understanding of that. Okay, Keenan Allen seems to, at least. He wants to win. This is a guy who's only played in 6 playoff games in his career. He's only won 2 of them. He wants to get back there. He wants to have some success in the postseason, and I think he fits perfectly with this Colts team. I think the postseason is now a real opportunity for the Indianapolis Colts, and I hope that they get there. It's been 6 years. I want playoff football. The 8-2 start last year was so much fun. All of the points, hanging 40 on people. That's potentially going to be the best part about this. The Colts are going to beat people because they can score points. They're not going to beat teams like 17-13 where we're just watching 2 teams punt back and forth. That's not what we're going to be doing. We're going to be watching them hang 30-plus on everybody because that is the kind of talent that they have on this team. And last year, when you look at them, the games that they won early before the bye week, they scored 30 or more in all of them except for one, and that was the game against Denver where they won 29-28, and both of their losses, one to the Rams and one to the Steelers, they only scored 20 points in each of those games. So 30 kind of feels like the magic number here. And, you know, again, with all this talent, Getting to 30 shouldn't be the most challenging thing in the world for them against some of these defenses. Obviously, some of the other ones like Baltimore, Houston, they'll probably have a little bit of a tougher time. But this offense should score a lot of points, and they should continue to have success today against the Atlanta Falcons in these joint practices. Speaking of success, the Indiana Fever are rolling right now. They've won 5 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, 24-12 overall. Tonight, they play on the road against the Dallas Wings. And, we have a new bit, I guess. Over under 1.5 incidents. Right, Chris? That's the right word?
Yes.
Over under 1.5 incidents in the upcoming Fever game. Chris and I will discuss in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
If you are looking to assist with those who were impacted by the floods throughout Indiana, please go to IndySportsTicket.com. There's a link there that if you click on, it'll take you to a great place where you can donate money and find other ways to help the other Hoosiers who have been impacted by all of the flooding. Also, phone lines are open, 317-228-1430 if you want your chance to win a couple of tickets to Holiday World. Again, 317-228-1430. That is the number if you want 2 tickets to Holiday World. We're being nice this week. We got Colts stuff to talk about, so we're not going to make people do insane trivia, which is good. So 317-228-1430 for your chance to win some tickets. The Indiana Fever play basketball tonight, and I'm so intrigued just to kind of see how the game goes, because they're playing against the Dallas Wings, who obviously have Paige Beckers, who's a player that everybody likes because she's a really good player. And the Wings are 20-16, battling for a playoff spot, and it's the WNBA. Something absurd is going to happen. Oh, we got a caller. Holiday World tickets to whoever that is. Congratulations to them. So for the Indiana Fever, for the Indiana Fever tonight, I assume that they're going to win. They've been playing at such a high level throughout really the past few weeks, ever since Caitlin Clark has found a way to get healthy. They've just been absolutely rolling along. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to. That was a problem early on in the season. They've won 10 of their last 12 now. Like this is a team that is peaking at the right time. I don't usually like using that phrase, but with only a few weeks left to go in the season, like this is the time where you want to feel like your team is ascending, and that's what it feels like the Indiana Fever are doing right now. And it's very simply because Caitlin Clark is just a stud. Like she's incredible. Okay, they've got about a month left in the season, and I know people have talked about Kelsey Mitchell maybe for MVP. Look, the Fever are the Fever because of Caitlin Clark and all of the gravity that she has with her ability to shoot and her passing. She just makes everybody's life easier. So I would argue personally that for that reason, she should be the MVP. And look, these last 5 games, like 24 points and 7 assists against the Toronto Tempo. She was 4 of 9 from 3 in that game. She had 26 points and 9 assists against the Dream before that. 29 points and 10 assists last Friday against this Dallas Wings team in another win. Only 1 turnover in that game. And that has been the one thing I've been critical of her about, are all of these turnovers. But she's really got it rolling right now. And as long as this continues, good luck beating the Indiana Fever. You're going to have to clothesline somebody to get them off of their game. So they play tonight. Game starts at 8:00 on Amazon Prime. And Chris and I have started this new conversation that we have every time before the Fever play games. And the WNBA is just in a league that they're just in a state where they're just unable to stay out of the news. Something ridiculous happens every time the Fever walk out onto the floor. And so you can pretty much guarantee that there's going to be at least one incident tonight during the Fever game that has people talking afterwards, right? Caitlin Clark's going to get fouled really hard. Sophie Cunningham's going to get booed by the crowd. There's going to be double technical fouls. The AC isn't going to work for some reason. Something like that is going to happen during the game tonight. The question is, will 2 things happen tonight? So, Chris, first, was that Jerry who won tickets?
Perry.
Yeah.
There's a fellow named Perry.
That's great.
And he's excited that he won some Holiday World tickets. So congratulations to Perry. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
As far as the game tonight,
over under 1.5 incidents.
We went over, but we took the under last time, right?
I took the over against Toronto.
Okay. Let's see.
What are you thinking here? Game is in Dallas.
Okay.
Another road game.
It might be safe to just stay over.
I kind of think
over
it's
the
gonna,
1.5.
I think we're gonna get the under tonight. I don't from my understanding, which I'll be honest, not exactly up to date on all things Dallas Wings, but when you look at their roster, they don't have any troublemakers. Like it's a decently older team. Paige Becker seems pretty relaxed as well. So I mean, I don't think this is a team that is really gonna mix it up in a big way with the Fever. So
Yeah, probably not.
We get one, but I don't think we get two.
So what might happen is Caitlin Clark gets fouled hard. Sophie Cunningham goes after said person, then she lays on the scoring table. Somebody throws a drink from the crowd, and then she jumps over the bench and it goes after somebody in the crowd, and they call it the flings and the wings.
Okay.
Flings with the wings.
I don't know if Sophie Cunningham has the athleticism to jump over the scores table.
Don't doubt her when she's mad, though.
Hey, man.
She will find. No, I don't know. I think, probably something wild is going to happen. It's almost expected every time the Fever plays somebody, whether it be here in town or, the crowd been very vocal lately, especially with Sophie.
Yeah, booing her everywhere she goes.
It's going to be interesting, but I would be surprised if we are in the under tonight for instances.
Yeah, they're going to. This is true though. They're going to a more conservative city. Part of why I thought we'd get over 1.5 incidents against the Tempos because they went to Toronto, a place that's a little more progressive. So I don't think Sophie Cunningham is going to get booed tonight just because Dallas is a more conservative place.
We already know that people in Texas know how to use AC. So
yeah,
I think there's
people in Texas know how to use AC.
Right.
No one's going 1980s Boston Celtics TD Garden on us. So no one should overheat. Should be good. So there you go. So I'm taking the under. You have the over?
I'll take the over.
Okay. We're split. It happens. It's all right. You can't always be on the winning side of things, Chris. It's all right.
Might bet some coffee on this. If there's more.
But there's a ruling, though. That's the thing. And so
we have to agree on it.
What'll come? We're gonna come in tomorrow, and one of us is gonna be like, it's not an incident. she barely punched her in the face. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it would have to be something that we agreed on.
It was a light jab. It wasn't like she threw a haymaker.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, we'll have to agree on it, and if not, we can go to the audience. Zach Pereles is joining the show coming up here at 2:00, and he wrote an interesting article over at CBSSports.com where he looked at all 32 teams and asked the question of like who has the most to prove on every roster. And it's interesting. I think he got the majority of these right. I think he got the Colts wrong though. Chris, who do you think has the most to prove for the Indianapolis Colts this year?
Player wise?
Player, coach, GM, whatever you want.
I think the easy answer would be Ballard, but I mean, there's only so much that can happen there. So the person with the most to prove would probably, for me, Sauce Gardner for sure.
Really?
Because, prove that you're worth that number one pick that you bragged about because you didn't do it last season.
Twice.
Yeah.
Number one pick twice. To be fair, he got hurt last year. That's why we didn't really see it.
And that's why it needs to happen this year.
Fair enough.
All right. That's what I'm going with.
And I will say on the injury thing for Sauce Gardner, this is a guy who I was about to say has a history of being healthy, but that's actually not really true either. Actually, no. He played 11 games last year. He played 15 games or more the first 3 years of his career in every season. So he traditionally stays pretty healthy. So hopefully that goes back to normal this year because the Colts very much need him. But my guy Zach wrote down Daniel Jones, and man, I just don't know because I understand the argument for it, where it's like, look, he's coming off of a torn Achilles. Colts went all in on him last year when they give up two first-round picks to bring in Sauce Gardner. Michael Pittman Jr.'s gone. Alec Pierce still isn't back yet. And so I understand the argument, but I think it's Latu, man. Like he is so like the success of the defense, like the defense being average, because I think that the secondary is too good. This linebacking group looks really good. I think that there's just too much talent in those two areas for the Colts defense to be anything less than average. The question is going to be the pass rush. Because if Leatu Latu is a 12.5 sack guy, we could go from can the Colts make the playoffs to can the Colts make a run to the AFC title game? I think if Leatu Latu comes out as a stud, maybe you want to flip it and say it's Arden Key. Can he prove that he can be a starting caliber edge rusher? But I think those are the two guys who control the Colts' fate more than anybody else.
That's totally fair. And Daniel Jones is an easy one to say, yeah, he has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
But as far as Latu, like I said before, I think it relies a lot on the help he gets from Arden Key. So even though he does need to improve, I think he will improve more if Arden Key goes out and performs and does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. So would you say Arden Key has more things to prove than Leatu Latu then?
In some sense, they both each have their own standards that they need to achieve. But I was just saying Latu will be more successful with the consistency of, his partner there or whatever.
Yeah. We'll see, man. It's interesting. So we've got, I wouldn't call it breaking news, but earlier today, it was reported that, the Pacers are going to have all their local games on DAZN, which is,
it's a silly name.
It's a name. Hey, I mean, it's an app. You can download it. You can stream it. You can, cast it to your TV and do all those things. But YouTube is reportedly, this is from Wall Street Engine. They are reportedly in talks with, YouTube is apparently in talks with the NBA to create a single streaming hub for local team broadcasts starting in the 2027 season. And so the games would be free because you would just go on YouTube and watch the games there. That would be awesome. Sign me up for that.
For sure.
Seriously.
Yeah, that the zone, or otherwise known as DAZN, that app, the new home for Pacers streaming the games and all that, taken over from FanDuel Sports Network. Just if you want to get in on that particular app for the season, you should know for full season access. Right now, you can get in on an early bird deal for $60 for the entire season. After October 15th, when that deal is done, it goes up to $120. So if you want to watch all the games for the Pacers this year through the DAZN app, $60.
That's not bad
for the season. Yeah, not
bad
at
all.
Other than that, you're paying $20 a month, which was about the same as what FanDuel charged monthly.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Pacer stuff it's right around the corner, man. Like that's going to be starting up here before we know it. I'll talk about their opener later on. I don't think people really care to hear about that right now. But the Indianapolis Colts getting ready for their joint practice today against the Atlanta Falcons. And I just want to hear that Daniel Jones continues to find success. Because, yeah, defensively, it all comes back to Latu and Key. But offensively, it all comes back to Daniel Jones. Can he look like 90% of who he was last year before he fractured his tibia? Because if you just get that from him, the roster around him is good enough to elevate the Colts the rest of the way to a playoff berth. The one thing that you don't want to see, and it doesn't seem like this has happened, which is good, is any sort of hesitancy for him to take off and run and really, use his legs. Because when you look at his most successful seasons as a quarterback, going back to 2022 when he made the playoffs with the Giants, he ran for a lot of yards that year. Last year, you saw him use his legs quite a bit to pick up first downs or just, instead of, and you saw him turn 1st and 10 into, 2nd and 6 because he would just find a way to pick up 4 yards with his legs if no one was open. And that has to be something that we continue to see this year because, again, it is an important part of his game and for him to find success. So I'm fascinated by how he's going to look this year. He doesn't need to play in the preseason at all. I know Coach Steichen has talked about running the starters out there a little bit in their third preseason game. That'll be not this Saturday, but next when they host the Lions. I wouldn't do that. Just wait till week 1. Let's see how everything looks when they play the Baltimore Ravens at home at 1 o'clock. So I can't wait for it. We will talk a little bit more Daniel Jones, this time with Zach Pereles from CBS Sports, who does a great job covering the NFL over at CBSSports.com. He thinks, Daniel Jones has more to prove than anybody else on this Colts roster. I don't know about that.
The first game that he goes out and has a bad game, are you just going to go back to like bashing him and be like, he is what we thought we were?
See, that's the thing. I would argue I've never really bashed him. Like I think everything that I've said has been fair. I think I've been about as neutral as you can be.
Yeah.
It's like 8 of these games were awesome. There's no denying that. But 4 of the games were pretty bad. Okay? And you could argue a 5th if you want to count the 2 interception game against the Rams. But I'm being nice. So we're only going to say 4. I don't know. I think that's just being fair. Real and honest as opposed to, bashing. I think bashing would just me being like, Daniel Jones sucks.
Right.
He was never any good.
Yeah, no, you're right. Expectations high, reality, eye level.
There you go. That's good. I like that. Zach Pereles of CBS Sports joining us here at 2 o'clock. But first, Chris, has your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Colts wrapping up their final day of training camp with a primetime joint practice with the Falcons up in Westfield. It was thought that Keenan Allen might suit up for practice yesterday, but sat out of initial joint practice. But he will take part in the individual drills today, though. You can see a video of him hanging out with Josh Downs on the field, getting familiar already. Head coach Shane Steichen clarified that Allen's workload management is completely independent of Alec Pierce's ankle rehab. The Indiana Fever take their 5-game winning streak to Dallas tonight for a game with the Wings. Tip-off scheduled for 8 o'clock. It will stream nationally on Amazon Prime and locally on WTHR Channel 13. Kelsey Mitchell is expected to play after sitting out the fourth quarter in Toronto a couple days ago due to overheating and looks to extend her historic 20-point scoring streak. So good luck to her. And as we just mentioned, Pacers Sports and Entertainment announced a landmark 5-year partnership with DAZN. It's an app where they'll be streaming the games for the Pacers. Moving on from FanDuel Sports Network, DAZN will broadcast 22 regular season games and 4 preseason games completely free on its app. But for full season access, right now you can get early bird season passes for $59.99. That lasts until October 15th. So basically go sign up, become a member, $60 for the season. After October 15th, that price goes up to $119.99 for the season or $20 a month to watch the Pacers in the upcoming season. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show, and Zach Pereles joins in 4 minutes on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway in a pretty awesome way. We got the great Zach Pereles from CBS Sports joining the show. Zach, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, man. We got football going on, Colts joint practice, preseason games tonight, which, there's I'll be honest. Obviously, I'm watching all the Colts preseason games, and I'm absolutely watching Fernando Mendoza because I think he's one of the few interesting quarterbacks actually playing in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where you're at on that, but yeah. So I'm great. That's my point. I do want to talk to you about the article that you put up a couple of days ago on players on every or players / GMs / coaches on every NFL team that has something to prove. But before we get to that, what were your thoughts on the Keenan Allen signing for the Colts?
Yeah, I thought it was a smart addition. Keenan Allen, at this point in his career, he is still super dependable, still a guy who can move the chains for you on third downs. I think that it's going to be important for them to monitor his role. I think that people are probably making a little bit too much out of the similarities between him and Josh Downs. I think that Josh Downs can still have a big role this season, and Keenan Allen can play in, sort of some more crucial moments when you're looking at, 2-minute drills, when you're going to be throwing the ball 3rd and long, 3rd and medium, probably those sorts of areas. I think Keenan Allen can still do some good things, and I think when you look at the depth of the Colts wide receiver room and the Alec Pierce kind of mysterious injury recovery, it makes sense to sign a guy like that. And at this point in the offseason, there are still some other names out there, but Keenan Allen is a guy who can come in. Obviously, he has past ties to Shane Steichen. He is going to be able to ramp up and play whatever role it is. If it's half the snaps, if it's 40% of the snaps, he's going to be able to play in week 1. And reliable guys, you can never have enough of them.
You really can't. And, the Colts continue to be pretty adamant that Alec Pierce is going to be ready for week 1. Shane Steichen was asked yesterday if the Keenan Allen signing was because Alec Pierce was going to miss time. And he just kind of did this laugh of I really wish people would stop asking me that. Alec Pierce is fine, which is just kind of funny. Anytime Shane Steichen portrays any sort of emotion, that's not really his thing. But when the signing happened, I think you could argue that the Colts' weapons this year are better than they were last year. I would argue Keenan Allen's a better player than Michael Pittman. If you go and you look at their EPA against zone coverage and man coverage last year, Keenan Allen's is higher in both areas. I think he runs a broader route tree, like a lot of what Michael Pittman did last year. Kind of to your point on the Josh Downs stuff, Michael Pittman didn't run routes further than 8 yards down the field, and so Keenan Allen's just a guy who can do a little bit more. What do you think are the chances that this Colts offense is actually better this year than they were last year?
I'd say it's hard to say better because they were one of the best offenses in the league through however many weeks last year. I'm probably a little bit higher on Michael Pittman than you are. Just the physicality he provides, the size that he provides, I think is really an underrated thing. He's kind of a unique receiver because he's not one of these big burner guys, but he's big and he's willing to go over the middle. He can make quick catches. I get that he's not super, he's not a crazy athlete. He doesn't have crazy speed, but I love his size and just his ability to box out a defender and make those short and intermediate catches. So, I mean, when you look at the Colts last year, they were absolutely absurd. They had some of the best numbers that we've ever seen for as long as Daniel Jones was healthy. So being higher on them this year with Daniel Jones obviously working his way back from an Achilles. I don't think that I see that, but I do see a world where like Josh Downs is really well used and Alec Pierce, if he's back, still has like a lot of downfield juice. Tyler Warren is a guy who I love, and he could certainly take another jump, but I just think there were a lot of things going right for the Colts last year, and there are just, I think, more questions this year.
That's totally fair. Again, joined by Zach Pereles from CBSSports.com, where he does a great job of covering the NFL. Yeah, it's a fair point. Let's start with the Michael Pittman stuff. I think you're right. I really value the toughness aspect of Michael Pittman. That's a guy who basically played with a fractured back when he was here in Indy. As you said, certainly not afraid of contact and those kind of things. I just feel like Keenan Allen can do a little bit more, and I like just the idea of flexibility in an offense. Like Keenan Allen's a guy who can line up inside or outside. And look, like he's the Colts' fourth best pass catcher this year. Because when you look at last year, they didn't really target Downs a ton. He actually had a down year, no pun intended there. Compared to his first 2 years. And then, the Alec Pierce thing, they continue to say that he's going to be fine. So I think he'll be fine, winning over the top like he's done, the past few years. And then really my bet on this Colts offense maybe being better is Tyler Warren in year 2, to your point. Like, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time when we see jumps in guys' careers, it usually happens from their rookie season into year 2. I know he hurt his abdomen yesterday, but they said that he should be out for like a week and then he should be back. So what are just kind of like, I guess, how much better does Tyler Warren need to be in order for you to feel like this offense could potentially be better this year?
Yeah, he has to make a bit. I mean, I think that he was a really good player last year, so even a small jump would be good. It's always going to come back to Daniel Jones for me. Like, the issues with him have kind of been obviously the play level for a long time, but the health has been it was kind of even under discussed in terms of last year. This time we were talking about, is Daniel Jones good enough? He's had several seasons where he couldn't finish the year because he was hurt. Now he's coming off the most major injury of his career. So I do think that the improvement of some of the weapons, like I think Josh Downs is a guy who not only should he be used more, but I would like to see him take a jump as well. I think that even a better Tyler Warren, even a Josh Downs, you'd have to have Daniel Jones play again at the best level of his career coming off a significant injury. So it really, to me, hinges more on Jones. And, it's always a tough proposition one year to the next. But I do think like it can be a really good offense. I've always been a big Shane Steichen guy offensively. And I think that he was kind of put in a tough situation for several years with his quarterback. And then I thought it was going to be another tough year last year. And instead it was the best offense in the NFL for half the year. So it'll be really on Daniel Jones. And it's tough because Tyler Warren could take a huge jump this year. And if Daniel Jones is only 80% of what he was last year, we wouldn't know how big of a jump Tyler Warren's taken.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't argue against the injury thing. My producer and I, we've talked about that quite a bit today, because to your point, like Daniel Jones has gotten through one season fully healthy. And I was joking with Chris. I was like, what are the chances that Riley Leonard comes into the year as the third string quarterback, but still starts 2 games because Daniel Jones and AR both get hurt,
Right, exactly. Health is, availability is such an important ability. And some guys have had it for years, and some guys it's just, whether it's bad luck, whether it's just, the difference in human being bodies, like that some guys stay healthy seemingly forever, and other guys don't.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think something that really helps the Colts out in that department is their practice facility isn't by an electric substation. So that's they've got that going for themselves.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Speaking of injuries, before we get to your article, how does the Jaden Higgins injury impact how you view the Texans this year? Because I had them winning the South. I may change that now that he's hurt.
Yeah, I would say it changes a little bit. And my biggest issue there is not so much looking at their offense now, but Nico Collins misses a couple games every year. He missed a couple last year. He missed a handful the year before. So that's when I would really be worried, is if Nico Collins, has 4 weeks with a hamstring and Jaden Higgins you're missing the entire time. So right now it hasn't changed my thought on them. It does change my thought on, like, if it's November and Nico Collins is hurt, like, are we throwing to Jalen Noel? And I think he's actually a really good player in the slot. But you're right, it does change things, but only slightly for me. Like, I understand the excitement around Jaden Higgins, but there were some major inconsistencies all year for the Texans offensively, and especially, throwing the ball with CJ Stroud. And they still were the best team in the AFC South. So I'm still probably going to go lean Texans as the AFC South champ, but it definitely makes them a little bit more fragile. And I think a lot of these training camp injuries, you can't view them just in, what does it do for the guy for the team? What does it mean? Who's your next guy up? Like, the Texans wide receiver depth was already kind of iffy. So it's like, I went out to Commanders camp and they just lost Laramie Tunsil, and it's not so much that they have to replace Tunsil. Obviously, it's a huge loss, but it's that really erodes some of their depth away at other spots. And that's what I would worry about with the Texans if we get to November and they're running out Jalen Noel and Xavier Hutchinson and they are having to win. I mean, they win a lot of games 13-10 already, but they might have to keep doing that.
They might, which, they're totally fine doing that. And as you said, they're more than capable of doing it. It'll just be interesting, right? Because, Jacksonville's a team that won 13 games last year, really only lost Travis, A-Chain, even though it used to be ETN. I don't know why it's changed. It's fine. And Devin Lloyd. Outside of that, like, everybody's back. And so, like, it's kind of weird, Zach. Like, the AFC South might be like a really tough division to win this year if Jones can stay healthy, if Jacksonville can repeat and if Jacksonville can repeat their success from last year, because the Texans defense is so good, barring a ton of injuries. I don't see a world where they're not a double-digit win team, honestly.
Yeah, the AFC South, it used to be it basically used to be the NFC South, right? It used to be like you win 9 games and you're in. You sneak to 10 games and you're winning the division by multiple games. So the jump it made last year was, especially the first half of last year when you also had the Colts playing really well, was really exciting. And yeah, I think that they could have 3 good teams this year. I'm a little worried about Jacksonville, but it just didn't seem like they did a ton this offseason. On the other hand, like, if they get the internal development that they saw over the back half of last year, that's a really good team. They won 8 straight games going into the playoffs.
They did. They're really talented, and Liam Cohen's, I think, a really good coach. But I do have questions about Trevor Lawrence because his career's been a bit of a roller coaster. Like, the first year of Doug Peterson is really good. I think he finished like 5th in MVP voting that year, and then it just kind of slowly got worse the longer that he was with Doug Peterson. And then last year, I think he finished 7th in MVP voting. And it's like, can he put together back-to-back good seasons? That's my question for Jacksonville.
Definitely. It's really tough. Like, I have worries about their offensive line. I have worries about their run game. Like, and the margins, again, are so small. And for a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who he's at his best when he's ripping balls downfield, you get 1 or 2 balls tipped, you get 1 drop, 1, misfire, and all of a sudden the turnovers have racked up. So he was awesome down the stretch of last year, throwing the ball downfield. Like, it finally looked like, oh, this is what Trevor Lawrence, former number one pick, should look like. So again, we'll see, but it was hard not to be impressed by how drastically the offense changed down the second half.
Joined by Zach Pereles from CBSSports.com. He does a great job covering the NFL there. So, Zach, you wrote a really interesting article, basically one guy that has something to prove on every, through every organization in the NFL. I feel like there were three options that you could have gone with for the Colts, Daniel Jones being one of them. Did you consider anybody else before picking Jones as your guy with the most to prove on the Colts?
I think Daniel Jones was the guy pretty much from the start, but I think Chris Ballard is right there too. And they're kind of intertwined, right? Because Chris Ballard's the guy who helped re-sign him, and Chris Ballard's the guy who brought him in and finally for, 10 games last year seemed to have his quarterback. So there's a chance where, like, if Daniel Jones doesn't work out, there's a chance that neither he nor Chris Ballard are there next year. So those were really the two top of mind, but I kind of wanted to lean player instead of GM for most of them. And I think Daniel Jones for me was pretty clearly the pick, not only the contract and really, them being able to move off of him if they need to, but because he impacts so much, like we talked about earlier, he was the guy who he's on the hot seat because if he plays well, everything is good. If Chris Ballard does everything right from here on out, but Daniel Jones doesn't play well, it's not going to matter.
It's very true. And can I personally would have gone with Latu just because I think that everything that we say about Daniel Jones on the offensive side of the ball is somewhat true for Latu as well. Whereas like Daniel Jones really has no excuse. Like, he's got a really good offensive line. He's got weapons. He's got one of the best running backs in football behind him. If the offense fails, it's probably going to be because Daniel Jones doesn't play well enough. And I think defensively, you can make the same argument for Leatu Latu. Like, the Colts secondary is one of the 10 best in football. They've got a lot of depth at linebacker. They really like their linebackers. And the question really is the pass rush. And a lot of that is dependent on Latu going from being a 4.5 sack guy his rookie year to 8.5 sacks last year to hopefully like 11-ish sacks this next year. What do you think of the idea of Latu kind of being the Daniel Jones of the defense, where so much hinges on how he plays?
Yeah, I think it's a really important year. And you mentioned, like, he has to take another step. I think the reason that I guess I went with Daniel Jones is also, like, if he doesn't play well or if he gets hurt or whatever, like, he could be not on the Colts next year. Whereas Leatu Latu is going to be a Colt next year unless something insanely crazy happens. So that was part of the reason. Like, hot seat, I tried to take into account not only the individual's performance and their effect on the team, but also like the individual themselves. And if it's a contract year or if a team has an out after this year, that's kind of a personal hot seat as well. So yeah, that's why I think that contributed to Jones. But yeah, like Leatu Latu, like if I guess my thought is, like, if Leatu Latu has 10 or 12 sacks this year, like, the Colts could still not be good. But if Daniel Jones plays like at the offensive equivalent of like a 12 sack season, the offense is going to be good, and that defense should be, good enough, even if Leatu Latu doesn't take a step forward. So I think it's a close one. It's a tough question. I think that there are some similarities. I just think at the end of the day, like, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. And that was kind of my thinking there. Like, if the Colts can somehow glue together enough of a pass rush led by Latu, even if Latu doesn't take a huge jump, they could still be okay. But if you don't have a quarterback, you're toast.
That's totally true. Look, quarterback, it's the most important position on every roster. Again, joined by Zach Pereles from CBS Sports talking Colts. So my producer threw out this idea earlier. He said Sauce Gardner because the Colts gave up 2 first-round picks for him, and we didn't really get to see him play at all last year. Again, I wouldn't have gone with him, but I thought it was an interesting stance. What do you think of just kind of Sauce Gardner and what he has to prove this year for the Colts?
Yeah, that's a big one. Like, he has a ton to prove. It's sort of like almost like if you put Micah Parsons on the hot seat for the Packers. Like,
Yeah,
Micah Parsons, it's really hard to put a guy that's injured, and especially in a major injury, on that hot seat. But in the big picture, yeah, like, Sauce Gardner has to play well, because for the health of this organization, they have put a ton on him. They have put a ton on him being healthy. They put a ton on him being productive, and not only productive, but like 2 first-round picks worth of productive. So yeah, I would say that if he has a bad year, you're right. Like, that's a really, really bad sign. It's almost, I don't want to say bigger than Daniel Jones from a big, like, wide perspective, but for this, it almost seems like if he doesn't play well, that's a huge tick against Chris Ballard, who we talked about as a hot seat guy. But yes, you're right. Sauce Gardner, like, I get that he's been paid. I get that the Colts paid up a ton for him, so there are huge expectations. I just think if Sauce Gardner plays well this year, or even if he just plays okay, not great, he's probably going to be just fine in terms of his NFL future. Whereas a Daniel Jones, like, if he doesn't play well, who knows if he's ever a starter again. So I definitely think, like, if I had to say, like, one player with the most pressure on him from, like, an acquisition standpoint, it'd be obviously like a lot of first round picks from this year. But then you're right. Like, I think I did that with Dexter Lawrence. Wasn't quite the guy for the Bengals on this list, but he's certainly, like, on the hot seat to produce. Is like, hey, we paid a ton for you. Let's go see it. So I definitely think if I had to make a top 5 for the Colts, Sauce Gardner is probably number 3 on that list, behind Jones and Ballard.
Yeah, look, it all comes back to Ballard. Like, when you've been somewhere for a decade and have only won 1 playoff game, you should absolutely feel
right.
feel some pressure. And so it's the Colts are in an interesting spot, Zach. And I have found myself through training camp fighting this urge to believe in them for a lot of the reasons that you kind of laid out with Daniel Jones and the injury problems. I have a lot of questions about the pass rush, but outside of those 2 things, I think this is a pretty good team. Last thing for you here, and I'll let you go. Where are you at on the Colts potentially being a playoff team this year or not?
I think that I would have them probably on, like, the playoff contender list, but probably playoff contender. Like, if I had to name my 7 playoff teams, I'd say that they're a playoff contender that's right now on the outside looking in of that picture. I don't think they're, like, I remember we talked last year and I was really low on them, and I was wrong, and I got it wrong. And the only thing that saved me from looking really wrong was the Daniel Jones injury. I think that the AFC is so tough. Like, we run through the AFC South, and they're probably I could see them maybe being the second best team, but I'm really pretty locked in on them being the third best team. And then you just start going through the numbers. There are multiple good teams in the AFC North. There are multiple good teams in the AFC West. There are multiple good teams in the AFC South. I mean, you just see, and the AFC East has the Bills and the Patriots, who just went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So it's just, it really just piles up. Like, when I think about the Colts as a playoff team, I look at who they're going to pass in the AFC, and I have trouble seeing that, especially because you're probably thinking the Chiefs aren't going to be as bad as they were last year, even if they're not a playoff team. So are they going to pass the Chargers? Maybe, maybe not. That could be one where I feel like it could go one way or another and they could have an awesome offense, or it could kind of fall off. I just think there are too many names that I have in front of them right now. I think they're probably a top 10-ish team in the AFC, but I don't know if they're the top 7 right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Because like you said, like I think I think Houston, Baltimore, Kansas City, Denver, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Patriots. Like that's 7 right there. I think so. It's good is relative, right? Like if we dropped the Colts in the Big Ten, we'd be like, oh, they're going to be pretty awesome. But because they're in the NFL and in the AFC, it's brutal. So, what all do you have coming up on your docket? What all are you writing about right now?
Yeah, big thing coming into the weekend. I'll be working on some preseason week 2 stuff, and then next week, CBS Sports will have its all breakout team. So looking forward to that. We've been collecting votes from all of our writers and editors and analysts, and there's a lot of breakout candidates on that list, and I believe a few Colts as well.
Hey, the Colts need them. The Colts need them if they're going to go from being the 10th best AFC team up to 7. So hopefully you guys are right, man. Thanks for your time, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
See ya. That is Zach Pereles. You can check him out on X at Zach_Pereles. He does a great job covering the NFL. You can read him once again at CBSSports.com. Colts getting ready for practice here in about 30 minutes. Their joint practice against the Falcons. Keenan Allen will suit up today, and I think he's going to fit in just fine here because he knows exactly who he is. I'll tell you how I know that in 3 minutes.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app. Yeah.
Big thank you to Zach Pereles for joining us for, a good 30 minutes there in that last segment. Make sure you go read his stuff at cbssports.com. The Indianapolis Colts are about 30 minutes away from their second joint practice against the Atlanta Falcons. Good news for the Colts. Keenan Allen going to be out there today practicing, which is great. And I really like him. I think he's going to fit in very well here because Keenan Allen knows exactly who he is. Self-awareness is an important trait to have. You have to know who you are. And one of the things that jumped out about Keenan Allen and his media availability yesterday was he clearly knows exactly who he is. He called himself a safety blanket for the quarterback. He talked about being a reliable target on third down who can move the chains. He called himself slow. Self-awareness, it's important. He knows exactly who he is, and he knows exactly what he does well. Okay, it's a great way to be successful. Figure out what little bubble of things you do well and just do that. And then, you theoretically should be fine. Now, it helps when you've been in the league for a decade, but it's amazing how many guys show up on a new team and they don't know who they are. And that leads to them stepping on toes, or they end up, hurting their own feelings because they don't think that they're getting what they think that they deserve. For example, Shedeur Sanders shows up in Cleveland last year or walks into the NFL draft, lacks the self-awareness to realize that he's not going to be a first-round pick, doesn't meet with a whole bunch of teams, is incredibly picky and choosy on who he'd meet with and who he wouldn't. And all of a sudden he looked up and he was a fourth-round pick to the Cleveland Browns. Self-awareness, it's important. That's not going to be a problem with Keenan Allen. He knows he's going to be a reliable third down option. He knows exactly how the Colts are going to use him, and that comes from his previous relationship and respect for Shane Steichen. Okay, relationships are everything in just about every sort of industry. If you have a good relationship with your boss, that makes your life easier. It's much easier to buy into a role when you know the guy who is deciding what your role is. It's even easier if you respect them and you think that they're smart. And Keenan Allen would not have come to Indianapolis if he didn't like Coach Steichen and if he didn't think that Coach Steichen was smart. Here is Keenan Allen talking about his relationship with Coach Steichen.
Genius, man. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's looking at. He doesn't have a coach mindset, so to speak. He sees it from a player perspective, from a quarterback perspective, and, obviously being with Phillip, having those repetitions too.
Keenan Allen right there talking about, Shane Steichen being a genius and how he sees things like a player does and all of those things. And, maybe you agree with that. Maybe you don't think Shane Steichen is a genius. Either way, Keenan Allen thinks that. And that's all that matters. He's going to be bought into whatever Coach Steichen is selling. And that should hopefully lead to a smooth transition as he gets acclimated with the Indianapolis Colts offense. He did not participate in the joint practices yesterday, but he will be out there today, and I cannot wait to see how he looks. Will Daniel Jones throw an incomplete pass today? We'll see. No Tyler Warren. He got hurt yesterday. Pretty minor, though. Should be back in a week or two. Should be ready to go for week one. But Coach Steichen talked a little bit about his relationship with Keenan Allen yesterday. You can tell that he's excited to have, a real third receiver, on his team now. It's going to open up so much for this offense. I've got audio of Coach Steichen talking about the Keenan Allen acquisition in 3 minutes.
The best takes? Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
If you are looking to assist those affected by the floods throughout Indiana, please log on to IndySportsTicket.com. We've got a link there to help you help other people if you want to go and check that out. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe, you can also watch the show on X _ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. Coach Steichen's psyched, man. He's so glad that Keenan Allen is in the building. He was laughing and smiling during his presser yesterday. You know, Chris compared him to a guy who's like walking out of work on Friday, which is payday. Just, you know, there's just an energy about him, and you can feel it. And it makes sense, right? Coach Steichen obviously has a relationship with Keenan Allen from their time together with the Los Angeles Chargers. And Keenan Allen wouldn't be here if Shane Steichen didn't think that he could play. Here is Coach Steichen talking about the addition of Keenan Allen and how they plan to use him.
Also excited to add Keenan Allen to our roster, a guy that, you know, I've known for a while. Got a lot of respect on how he goes about his business as a professional and the consistency that he's brought over his entire career. He's going to add, you know, great depth to our room and come in and contribute. So we're excited about that.
There's that word again, consistency. You hear Shane Steichen talk about it all the time. It's the most important thing to him. Shane Steichen likes to know what he is getting from every player every single week. He wants consistency. He wants to know what's going to happen, which makes sense. Trying to coach a team where, you know, 1 week they're great, next week they're terrible, next week they're average, next week they're awful, whatever it is, that's frustrating. That's not a very fun thing to deal with. So, you know, you bring in a guy in Keenan Allen who has been incredibly consistent throughout his career, but he also is incredibly flexible. One of the nice things about Keenan Allen is the flexibility that he provides in the routes that he runs. Okay, he can also line up all over the field, so he gives you flexibility in where you move your wide receivers. That's another luxury that you didn't get last year when you had Michael Pittman out there. Okay, he only lined up outside. It wasn't hard to guess where guys were going to be for the Indianapolis Colts last year. Alec Pierce is going to be out wide. Josh Downs is going to be out wide. Or excuse me, Josh Downs is going to be in the slot. Michael Pittman is going to be out wide. And 90% of the time, Tyler Warren's going to have his hand in the dirt on the edge of the line of scrimmage. That is how they lined up. Keenan Allen is a guy who can line up everywhere. So they're going to be able to move him inside. They'll be able to move Josh Downs outside. They may play with, you know, putting Alec Pierce in the slot if they want to. They have so many more options now because of Keenan Allen's flexibility, not only as a route runner, but also in terms of where he can line up and be successful. He also has tremendous feel for the game, which is such a nice thing to have. Nice. That was good.
Got to have tremendous feel.
Do you have tremendous feel?
I don't know.
You don't know? What do you mean you don't know?
Somebody knows, but I don't know.
I have tremendous feel. I'll just be honest. I know I do. You have to have good feel for the game. Here is Coach Steichen on Keenan Allen's feel for the game.
The way he plays and the feel he has for the game, he's one of the most – he's probably not one of the most – he's the most cerebral receiver I've ever been around. He sees the game like a quarterback, how to run routes, how to attack leverage, how he sees coverage, especially inside in the slot, outside, you know, how corners play, how linebackers play him in the slot. That's built up reps, you know, over the years. And he's seen so many different looks, and it's like clockwork for him in his brain. And so I think having that at that position as you get older really helps you, you know, in the long run.
Coach Steichen right there talking about Keenan Allen, and he called him the most cerebral receiver I've ever been around. And that's a high compliment. And that is a nice player to have for a quarterback. Having someone that understands what they're looking at and knows how to respond to various coverages and what routes to run and how to maybe critique a route so that they can actually get open. It's a nice thing to have. Okay, and because Keenan Allen is such a smart football player, it should not take long for him and Daniel Jones to kind of come together, mesh well together, and start to produce. This was a great pickup for the Indianapolis Colts this year, and they should score a lot of points because of it. And especially since, Daniel Jones just isn't going to slow down, apparently. Didn't have an incompletion yesterday in their joint practice against a Falcons team that has some good players on their defense. This was a defense last year that was second in the NFL in sacks. They've got a nice secondary with Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts, both playing safety for them. A.J. Terrell and his brother, what's his brother's name? Gosh dang it. The other Terrell, second-round pick out of Clemson. They've got just a lot of really, really nice players who should be able to produce for them this year. So we'll see how it goes for him. But
Avion or something like that.
Yeah, Avion Terrell. Thank you. He between both of them and their safeties, like that's a good secondary. And for Daniel Jones to have success against them without Alec Pierce, if you want people to drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, this is what you have to do. You have to tear up a defense that was pretty solid last year while throwing to Ashton Dulin, Nick Westbrook-Akina, Tyler Warren, and Josh Downs. Obviously, Downs and Warren are monsters, but outside of that, like to have that much success is still it's really impressive. And hopefully this is something that continues because so much of the Colts' success this year is going to fall back on Daniel Jones, his ability to stay healthy, and his ability to be as good as he was last season. Defensively, Arden Key and Leontu Latu both had multiple sacks yesterday. It's a big deal. That is something that has to continue going forward. Arden Key has a real opportunity to prove that he can be a starting caliber edge rusher in the NFL. I don't know if he's really going to do that. He's been a guy who's been a rotational pass rusher for his entire career, but he's being given an opportunity, and it sounds like he did a great job yesterday, pressuring the quarterback. Latu did as well, and to Chris's point earlier in the show, the better Arden Key is, the easier that makes life for Latu and Buckner, because if you have three guys who can rush the passer on the line of scrimmage, that's a problem for most offenses. They're not going to have, the offensive lineman to really deal with that because you can only double one of them. I guess you could double Buckner and chip Latu or Arden Key, but teams don't want to do that. They want to get those guys out on the pattern as soon as possible. So hopefully Arden Key and Leontu Latu can continue to play well. And I know people are excited for the offense this year. I am fascinated to see how good Justin Wally is in real time on an actual football field. Because every time we hear about him, it's he had two picks yesterday. One was a pick six. I don't know if it's gone viral on social media. It probably will though, because it's Tua who throws the pick. And so every time we hear about Justin Wally, it's because he's playing at an incredibly high level. And this secondary, Wally, Gardner, Ward, it's really hard not to like all of the guys that they've lined up for this defense. And I hope it all comes to fruition. I want the Colts to be good this year. I want us to feel the feeling that we had when they were 8-2 last year before everything fell apart. So there's a chance. That's That's kind of how I feel about it, but good is relative, and the AFC has a lot of really good teams this year. So will this be enough for the Indianapolis Colts to be a playoff team for the first time in 6 years? We will see. We will see. Chris, what do you think is something we're talking about tomorrow because it happened at Colts-Falcons practice today?
Something that happened today.
So here, I'll go first. So you can get
go for
it. You can get an example. I think we're taking 5 minutes to talk about how good Anthony Richardson looked today.
Really?
Yep.
Feel that good about it?
I think he's going to keep playing well.
Okay. I know I'm going to hear something about a defensive player based on the way Tua's been playing. He's going to throw another pick. It's just a matter of figuring out who it's going to be.
Ooh, I have a nomination in mind, but it's your thing.
So no, you're fine. So I know Wally already had one.
Yep.
Then some. Okay, he was the only one yesterday. I think.
I'd go Halsey.
Okay, that would be good to see.
That's a guy. Whenever Lou Anarumo talks about him, he talks about the instincts. He talks about how smart he is. It would make sense for him to be the guy going forward for them. So we'll see. Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you so much.
What'd you get?
I got a juice box.
Oh, there you
go. He likes Kool-Aid.
I do like Kool-Aid. Who doesn't?
That's why, so.
It's great. Thank you.
Jonathan comes in every day drinking a Capri Sun.
I do, and it's because of Mike. It's great. Look, if you want to give me free stuff, I'm not going to say no.
Dude, your face lit up like it was Christmas.
Look,
so excited.
I'll be honest. Whenever he comes in here, I immediately get nervous. I'm like, I don't think we said anything. I don't think he's going to suspend me. I think we're okay.
He walked in awfully aggressively to give you a Capri Sun.
I mean, hey man, and I'm going to drink it. I'm going to drink it right now as we wrap up the show here. Every day we close the show doing the same thing. We cover a variety of topics on the show, and hopefully you were entertained or you learned something. If the show is really good, then we'll do both. So every day we like to close the show by telling you what we learned on the Real Jonathan Smith show today. Chris, take it away.
All right, class. What did we learn today?
Sharkleberry Thin. Watch out, dude. This is a great flavor.
Yeah, this should be the time of the day where everybody goes to their fridge, pulls out a juice box or a Capri Sun, and gathers around the radio so that we can find out what we learned today. Because this has been we finally put a new battery in the smoke detector because there were no analogies today edition of the Real Jonathan Smith show.
Didn't have one today.
Not a one.
I was so fired up last night just about the Colts in general. I told you some of the stuff I was doing walking around my house.
Yeah.
And so no analogies needed today.
You're all analogied out.
I wouldn't say that. I'm in newfound territory today. I don't have any more analogies. I'm apparently a part of the Daniel Jones fan club. Yep. I don't think the Daniel Jones fan club would accept me because I'd show up and be like, if you came to this club 12 times and you didn't have a good time 4 times, you'd be like, you know what? That's not a very good club.
You should come up with an analogy about not making it into the Daniel Jones fan club. But nonetheless, here's what we learned today on the Real Jonathan Smith show. Stuff like Keenan Allen loves sunflower seeds.
Yes, he does.
And that shows, even when he talks. We learned that the Pacers are moving to a new streaming platform called DAZN.
DAZN.
No relation to the Flow, but
hey,
they should collaborate. Yes, absolutely. We learned that Sophie Cunningham will probably not attack anyone in the crowd at tonight's game if someone threw a drink on her, although it could happen.
It could happen. It's the WNBA. Anything can happen.
We learned that Jonathan will leave his current state to attend your engagement party with a Capri Sun. Dude, you're owning that thing.
Dude. They're good, dude.
Hilarious.
They're great.
We learned that a few sports notes there. James Harden signed a new 3-year contract with the Cavs, so he's going to be there for a while. We also learned that the Texans are starting C.J. Stroud tonight in a preseason game against the Raiders, who are starting Fernando Mendoza. So if you want some good entertainment for a quarter or two, check that out on ESPN.
8 p.m., man. Should be a great time. Are you going to watch?
I'm going to try to. I've got some work to do here, but I should be at home in time for that.
8 o'clock? You're not going to be here for – if you're here for 5 hours, we need to talk about your time management skills. Should not take 5 hours.
Don't tell me my business. Drink your Capri Sun.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to The Real Jonathan Smith Show. We will be back tomorrow previewing the Colts preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons. Zach Hicks is going to join the show at 1 o'clock to talk Colts and probably a lot more. Zach Gray is back tomorrow as well. Looking to get him on at 2 as we start getting you ready for the football season, gambling, all that great stuff. So tomorrow's show will be loaded. I can't wait. We'll be here at noon. Make sure you are here as well. See ya.